What's up everyone? My name is Michael and you're watching the From WordPress to Statamic YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about template partials. First we'll take a quick look at WordPress and then we'll look at Statamic and see just how much it improves on the whole idea. Let's go. You may recall from our previous video talking about querying data, and we made a little filtering system using our taxonomies. Here I just want to show our taxonomies on the given post, and in WordPress I've created a little partial that does that work for us. So let's take a look at how we would actually show that partial. Okay, in the template here, I've got my content people template partial. In my template here, I want to bring in a partial that shows the taxonomy terms associated with this post. And it'll look like this. With PHP, call the function get template part, and then I need the path into the folder where this file is. So it's in the current folder from the root of the theme, so it'll be template parts / traits info. And that should be all I need. And there's all my terms associated with this entry. Now there's a few other things that I can do here. I can give this thing a name, so I could call it info or something like that. And then if I wanted to pass in data, it would be the third parameter in this function, which is an array. So I can say array, and then you just use a key value pair here. So I can say something, and here's my value. Give it a refresh, and that doesn't change anything because I'm not doing anything with that data. If I was to go into there, you can see here's all the work I've done to get the terms for this current entry. But up here, I can just dump my args. It's called args in this case. Whoops. Args. And then you can see here's this array of data that I passed in using that template partial function. And then I can do stuff with it here. But that's really all there is to it. I could create an initial array of maybe options or something. And then, depending on whether or not there's data here, I could do an array merge function. And so that have some default values to work with. But otherwise, we're just dealing with raw PHP here, and we're mixing in WordPress functions to do the work that we want to do. Okay, let's turn our attention now to Statamic. So I'm going to switch over, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to change to my Statamic site, and then my code, go over to that editor. So here in my people show template, I'm going to bring in a partial to show the taxonomy terms. So I'm just going to go up here, and like in other things antlers, rather than a function, we're going to use tags. So it'll look like this. Say partial, and then I'll give it the path to the partial that I'm going to use. And in this case, if you see over here, I've got this traits antlers HTML inside this subdirectory. So I'll say people partials traits, and I'll give it a refresh. And I know it has some test data in there, so it's working. Sort of like the WordPress version, which looks from the root of the theme directory. This one looks from the root of your views directory. So let's take a look at our partial right now, and there it is. It just says test. And I'm going to make a list to output all of my traits taxonomy terms. First, let's give it some styling. Class equals, give it a list disk, list inside, and then I will say traits, and this is a tag pair, and I will use the title and close off my list item. And there we go. I have all the trait tags associated with this post. And if I go back and view others, then you can see that I only get so many. Go back here, I see all the ones that are there. Now this partial tag is a little bit more flexible. There's a little bit more we can do with it. And let's take a look at what that would be. We can pass in data, for example, just using what looks like in React like a prop, sort of like many other frameworks we'll use. So I can say a title, for example, equals traits, and then I'll go back into my partial, H2. Give it a bold font. Bold. And we'll use the title. And there it is. So we would use this rather than an array of data. Just using this sort of prop style syntax is all you really need. Alternatively, I could use a totally different approach using something called slots. So I can put sort of any arbitrary data here that I would want. So I'm just going to replace this with the slot tag and give that a refresh, and that goes away. And then I come back to my parent template. And like we've seen with other tags, we can use this as a tag pair. So I'm just going to copy this, close it, and then I can maybe put my H2 in here. Class equals font bold traits. Maybe give it some margin this time. And give it a refresh. And there it is again. So now, as you can see, the partial tag here is a little bit more flexible. We can use these slots. We can use sort of a prop style way of passing in data. If we were to go look at the documentation, you can see all the information that we're just discussing. From here, we've got the way to fetch your partial with the path. Over here, again, here's the sort of the prop style data passing in. When you prefix it with a colon like this, then it actually puts in the value of this thing. So, for example, if I were to go back here and use the title, and here if I said title, but I give it the prefix, because we're in the scope here, the title should correspond to the title of the context that I'm in. So let's go back here. And now I just need to bring that back. So I'll undo this. So I've got that title here. And there it is. See, now it's the same value as I passed in because it was passing in the value instead of the string that I put in right there. Scrolling down a little bit more, we can see I can actually do some preset data using frontmatter, and then I can override it with the value that I pass in with the props. And in this case, you prefix that with this view, and then it basically use this information and then fall back to whatever you pass in. Otherwise, it'll just display nothing if the value is empty. Let's take a look at that real quick. So if I was to say, let's go back to title here and call it traits. And then I come back in here and I'll create some front matter. See, title is my title. Whoops, there we go. And we say view as the prefix there. We'll come back here. And we're using traits, which is what we pass in, and it's overriding this. But if I was to actually not provide this value, and give it a refresh, and now it's using the fallback that's defined in my front matter. So as you can see, the partial tag in Statamic gives us a lot more power than the getTemplatePart function in WordPress. We have the power of slots. We can use prop style data passing in. We have front matter that we can use to give the initial values to the data inside of the template part, and much more. So I hope you can join me in seeing this is a great and powerful way to extend our templates in Statamic, and is a much nicer user experience than what we get in WordPress. As always, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.